In this section, we're going to be plumbing the NDK manifold. We'll do this in 3 sections. We want to do the upper section of the loop, the blend tank, and then the monitoring loop as the 3rd and final assembly. There's a couple things we want to make sure of in this. We want to make sure and properly prime every one of our sealing surfaces, use the proper cement. Any threaded fittings will get Teflon tape. And we want to have a nice, clean, flat working surface to make sure the manifold is nice and square during assembly. We're going to go ahead and get started right now on the upper assembly. When we start, we're going to want to make sure everything is properly primed. Get our primer. Make sure we prime the full insertion depth of the fitting. We're also going to want to make sure that we prime the inside of the fittings themselves. Same as the pipe, we're going to get all the way through the insertion depth, working our way in circles. We're going to go ahead and pre-tape the pressure gauge with Teflon tape before we get started here, so it's ready and we're ready to install it. A couple things to notice here. We always want to wrap the threads in a clockwise fashion. I typically do this 4 to 5 times. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the upper manifold assembly right now. We're going to start at this lower elbow, working to the upper elbow to make sure that's nice and square, then work our way across the IPF inlet tees. Those will be rotated outward at 45 degrees, and then we're going to go back to square with the pressure gauge tee, the flow meter tee. A couple things we can do, and I like to do for a cleaner installation. You'll notice there's text on the pipe. I like to roll that to the back so it's not visible when it's facing outward, as well as the casting marks on a lot of the fittings here. I'll put those so they're not visible as you're looking forward at it. First, we'll grab 2 7-inch pre-cut lengths of pipe and 2 1-inch elbows. Make sure you don't have too much glue on the dauber so you're not making a mess here. Coat the inside of the fitting as well as the outside of the pipe. Reference your text and then push in and roll quarter turn, and we're going to want to hold for 20 to 30 seconds here to make sure we have a good bond and we don't have any pushback of the pipe. Continue referencing the plans here as we work our way around in a circle. I like to get my parts kind of laid out how I'm going to be assembling them, so as I'm working through the process I don't get confused or lost in what I'm doing. Again, we're going to be using the table surface to make sure all of these are lined up and nice and square with each other. I'll use the table surface. I'll do my quarter turn roll down, pin it against the table. After about a 20-second hold, I'm going to pick it up and make any minor adjustments that need to be made to it. Should be pretty square though. You'll notice when this is completed, there'll be a slight arc to the assembly. This is pretty unavoidable when gluing this many T's close to each other. Don't worry about this. We'll go ahead and square this up when we get it on the unistrut on the wall. At this time, we're going to go ahead and connect the down pipe to the IPF T's, getting a 45-degree angle on the T's in a downward-outward position. As you can see on the completed manifold now, our downward is in a 90-degree fashion with the IPF inlet T's at a downward 45-degree angle. Next, we're going to go ahead and put our pressure gauge T in. We want to make sure that we pin down the 90-degree down pipe to the blend tank on this side while we're rolling this T back and flat to the table on this side to make sure this assembly is square with the down pipe. Next, we'll go ahead and install the flow meter inlet tee to the 7-inch section of pipe into our pressure tee. We're going to go ahead and finish this off with installing the reducing bushing. It's 1 inch by 1/4 inch SR fitting into the pressure gauge tee. We'll go ahead and after that cures, we'll go ahead and install the pressure gauge and the inlet 22-inch section of pipe as well. Now that our bushing has cured into the pressure inlet tee, we're going to thread this in. That completes the upper assembly. We can go ahead and push this off to the side while we work on the blend tank assembly.